Welcome to this week's episode of the Sports Curious podcast. As usual, making me look good, making me look better. Joined by my co-host and co-founder of last night's game, Scott. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Another tremendous introduction. Thank you for having me.
I've really got to start maybe making some notes and really firing up something a little more spicy. But you know what? In all fairness, this is teamwork. You always make me look smart, so it works for me.
We try.
Yeah, you're my go-to for all the questions where I'm like, I don't know what the heck's going on.
And I usually have the useless sports knowledge to answer it. So
it is not useless if you're using it on a podcast.
That's true.
It's no longer useless. You have helped me make many, many business connections because of this said quote unquote useless knowledge. So it works very well when you walk into, let's say, a meeting in Chicago, and all of a sudden I know these random things about the Bears because of you. So don't call that useless. Call that thinking. Another tool in your tool belt of success.
Yes, and that's why we have this podcast, to get this information out to the people.
Out to people. Speaking of the people want to talk about Father's Day. You know, Father's Day is known for greeting cards that have barbecues on them, fart jokes, and something about fixing something or not being able to fix something. That's Father's Day wrapped up in a bow, really, right?
Yes.
I mean, now I know you don't have I know you're not a dad to a child, but you are a dad to a four-legged friend.
I am. I'm a dad to a mutt named Miley. She's almost 15, so she's going strong. And I feel that, she makes me better every day.
That's right. She has 3 teeth. She can't hear.
But she has
she's cute.
Tenacity for life.
That is it. She's my favorite dog to buy birthday cakes for.
Yes.
I have a kid, you have a dog. We balance each other out. This is how this works.
Yeah. The best of both worlds. A little bit of everything. Best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds. And the one with 2 legs can take care of all of us when we're old.
That's why you keep him around.
That's one redeeming factor, right? So let's talk about dads. Let's talk about athletes who give us dad goals. Hashtag you'll probably see a lot this month, but you really do see these guys who are out there hustling. And I don't think what people understand, athletes are humans. But they're on a time schedule. Yes, they get paid a lot of money, but let's say their son's birthday's in May and you're a baseball player. Well, guess what? Tough luck. You're not going to a birthday party. You're not going to graduations. You're not going to weddings because there are no excuses. There's no way to get out of those things. There's no vacation day options. So yes, they obviously have a lot of financial availability to make things great and make things bigger and better and afford a lot of things. But there's also another side of it that makes it a little more challenging. And there are some guys out there who we want to talk about who've really kind of stepped up. Maybe you can kick us off by talking about the guy who's really been hitting the headlines as super dad, LeBron James.
Yeah, LeBron James and his son have really been, in the headlines. He's in year 20 of his NBA career. So I'm sure he's missed many birthday parties, many celebrations throughout his kids' lives. But since he's gone to LA and Los Angeles, I think they've really gotten a chance to be together more. The whole family lives out in LA, and his son's going to college next year. And he was, extremely instrumental in getting his son a basketball scholarship, which, the last name definitely helps. And he's very good. And
this is Bronny, right?
This is Bronny, yes. So it's kind of cool to see him. Obviously, he's still in the league, playing at a high level, but also, playing a big impact in his son's life.
And their second son, LeBron's whole goal is to be able to play with both of his sons in the NBA. Their second son, and I'm blanking on his first name, and you probably know it, just switched over high schools, right?
Yes. So Bronny went to Sierra Canyon in LA and committed to USC in LA. So he's going to college in LA. And then the younger son just switched high schools. I don't know if it's closer to home or what the reasoning was, but whatever LeBron wants.
I'm also imagining though they're probably pretty decent basketball players. It's not just you don't get drafted and you don't get this level of attention just because your dad is a big name. You get it because you've got to be at least decent. You've got to show up, right?
There's a lot of sons with famous fathers who probably weren't recruited this heavily, and Bronny was an All-American, so I think he's really stepped up on the court, which I'm sure is heavily influenced by LeBron. So that's, it's kind of cool to see.
Well, I mean, if you, I mean, you do. I follow LeBron on social media, and some of the training and some of the things he does, they're insane. So they're watching his work ethic. So of course they've probably learned from him.
And what does he put in, like $1 million at least a year?
Oh,
At
into his
least.
body? I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, surely at least. But some of the stuff he does, like I couldn't do. There was one where I saw him. He had one of those. I can't think what they're called. I would call them like it looks like a wobbly ski, little flex board things, and he was kneeling on the big boat, like big exercise ball, doing that, and like all these different things left, right, and like I would eat shit. I mean, there's no other nice way to say that.
Yeah. No. And he's doing it year 20, and he's got to keep doing that if he wants to play with his sons.
Well, because his one son is in high school, so they've got a little bit to go because you have to play at least 1 year outside of high school before you can be drafted into the NBA, correct?
Yeah, so Bronny's got probably 1 year at USC, and then
okay. And then you got a couple years for brother to catch up.
Assume he'll go to league after that, and then a few years after that. So LeBron might be like 45 at that point.
And maybe he rides the bench just because he's super happy to have his kids there. I don't know.
Hang out.
I mean, I actually could see that. He seems like that kind of guy. I'd be like, look, I'm here to just be the cheerleader. I just want to make this record.
Put off great vibes on the bench.
Yeah, for sure. So somebody for you, we're going to stick in the basketball lane, but someone for you that gives uncle goals and dad goals. Dwayne Wade, retired NBA player, just got into the Hall of Fame, or will get in this summer, I believe. He talks a lot about how he grew up in a challenging environment that taught him to lead with love. He's obviously married to Gabrielle Union, who's an actress who you see all over commercials. And he has 4 children, but also raised his nephew, Davion Morris. So uncle goals for you.
That's very relatable. Uncle goals.
You know, what I really love about the two of them, they've been very open about just things that are happening in their lives. They've written children's stories. They really had a hard time conceiving their youngest. And so they've talked a lot about they've been very open about that. They've been very open about his daughter, Zaya, who came out as transgendered in 2020. And through the process of her changing her name and transitioning, they've been so supportive. And what I love about that is I think that they've taken things that people might not want to talk about, right? They don't want to talk about surrogacy. They don't want to talk about infertility. They don't want to talk about their challenges their children are facing. And they've been very open about it. And he's come out and said, hey, my daughter's the bravest person I know for sharing her story and in knowing that that's going to help someone else. And so I think, I don't know, I look at it from a parental perspective of seeing someone out there and putting themselves out there and sharing stories and sharing what they've gone through is going to help somebody else. And I think that's that's brave. It's not easy to do.
No, and they're hitting on multiple topics that are tough to discuss. So that's incredibly impressive.
I mean, it really continues to stick to his theme of lead with love, right? They're loving their kids first. And that's what matters most.
And I believe that Dwayne had his first child when he was at Marquette. So he was an early father going through college, trying to figure that life out.
Yeah. I mean, you think about his oldest is about 21, I believe. And so that makes a lot of sense. It's just, it's cool to see that, like I said, no one's perfect, but it is cool to see them really step up and share how they can help others too. One that I kind of want to talk about, Cristiano Ronaldo. He is like, people think of him as this soccer god, this mecca of calendar boy, if you will. I think he dated Paris Hilton somewhere along the line. Maybe if I'm wrong, I don't remember.
Sounds
But
right.
it sounds about right. But later on in life, he really became like a sappy dad, and loves, from what you can tell, loves his kids. Really wants to be there as much as he can. If he and his longtime girlfriend have had twins born via surrogate. He has an older son, Cristiano Jr., who's about 12. But last year, he and his longtime girlfriend lost one of their twins during childbirth, and that was gut wrenching. The coolest moment, which actually I have chills right now thinking about, is when he came back and it was his first soccer game after his son had passed, and they were in an opposing stadium, and the fans of the opposing team started singing "You'll Never Walk Alone," and I just thought that, like, I'm covered in goosebumps right now because it was just the coolest moment of seeing how being human at some point it transcends all things. And soccer is a pretty intense sport. You don't just pick up and cheer for
An
the other
opposing
team.
player, no. So,
No, you
and I'm
set them on
sure,
fire. Like, I mean, it's intense.
yeah, they're starting fist fights in the crowd, but they were able to, come together to
I mean,
to honor him and sing that.
it was just such a cool thing, and so I love to see that and how that happens.
Yeah,
Let's
and I just want to say, like, I think it's cool to see him embrace fatherhood because he had this kind of traumatic experience with his father. He lost him at a pretty early age from alcoholism, actually. So he was about 20 when his father passed away, and he never really, I mean, he got to see him play pro, but never really reach, the pinnacle that he was at. So I think that, really plays a big factor into, how he's really embraced
and how
his
he's showing up.
kids. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's really cool. One I want to talk about. I don't want to keep us too long because there's so many great people. We hear a lot about bad people in sports, and you and I run last night's game where we really do try to highlight the good things in sports
Hmm.
because there's enough bad news out there in the world. Let's talk about something good. This one's a dose of good and bad, or good and maybe questionable. Let's talk about Denver Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson. Had a little bit of a rough year last season, and which some people may not know, that he was also drafted by the Colorado Rockies. So he had a chance to be a Major League Baseball player and an NFL player. Obviously went in the NFL. He is married to singer Sierra, and they have two children. And then he is the stepfather to Future's son, the rapper Future's son, Future Zaire. And so he's obviously one of those, another one, epitome of dad goals. Really loves his kids, loves his family. But he's running a little bit of trouble with his Why Not Foundation, didn't he, this year?
He did. He ran into a little trouble. There was a report that came out that, said less than half of the funds were actually going to charity, which, I mean, it's incredible that he runs the charity, but, not a great report to have.
But I mean, it's pretty incredible that he really has embraced the stepdad. He's embraced being a dad, and all maybe conversation starters about that aside, he's definitely one to add to the dad goal list.
And going back to, like, we kind of spoke about Ronaldo, but I think he's really embraced kind of this dad role, taking on, Future's child and then having his own with Ciara. Because when he was drafted by the Rockies, his father he passed away shortly after that. So we really never got to see him reach the pinnacle, even getting drafted and playing the minor leagues for a little bit, and then, winning Super Bowls with the Seahawks. So I'm sure that really factors into how he approaches everything.
And they're known, when they were in Seattle especially, they were known for children's hospital visits. They were known for really being present and stepping up for children in the community and showing up. So fundraising aside, they gave their gift of time. And that, I think, is such a huge thing. And as someone who's taken, professional athletes to a children's hospital, I had a few that would go in and say, I know that baby's in ICU and I know it's a baby, but I don't care if it's like, I just remember, oh, gut wrenching. One of our players, he and his wife, we would go to the children's hospital and the three of us would go around together into rooms that they told us we could go into. And Russ Ortiz. And there was one room we walked into, and the nurse said, "You may not want to go in there. It's a small baby
Hmm.
who has an open chest cavity because it's had heart issues, and we have to keep it open. I mean, it was covered obviously, but keep it open in case there's an emergency." And obviously, this was a long time ago, pre-COVID. And his wife and I stood by the door and just like sobbed because this was just, it was a lot. He walked in there, he sat with the parents, he gave them hugs. Like it was just one of those things where you think of these athletes, they are dads, they are humans. And to see them give that kind of love to families who are in a tough spot or give the support to kids who are going through something rough, I think that's just really so cool. And to know the value and know your power, right? Know that your power and you can use your power for good and influence people to really cheer them up. And it's just a really cool thing. So I would applaud them for doing those things that some players can't do and some athletes can't do because it is really uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to see sick kids, but they sure need it.
Yeah, and having the guy they see on TV throw touchdowns and strike people out coming into their hospital room just has to do so much more than they could ever imagine as far as morale.
It really is. And you saw Tom Brady did a lot of that in the last probably 2 years of his career. You really saw him sort of dive into that role of, taking kids and out of the stands and taking pictures with them and giving him game use stuff because they beat brain cancer. It's just really cool to see that they're embracing the power of their sport and realizing that you are someone's hero, you are someone's role model, whether you like it or not. And you're seeing that with their fans, but they're also showcasing that to their children. So, with that, do you have any good advice or one-liners or a dad joke from our dad that you might pass along?
I'm not sure any of them are. Can we censor?
I'm sure we can censor. I said the S word already, so you're good.
One of the really caring sayings he usually has is, "No one cares, work harder."
Sounds about right.
Really loving saying, yeah.
We should make t-shirts for that. That should go in the last night's game store. No one cares, work harder.
Yeah, or the ever popular "Have a nice day, a-hole."
There was nothing better than when you were with us in the car, were you? When we were in California, we were going to the Long Beach Aquarium
Hmm.
and there was a long line of cars and someone tried to cut in and Dad winds down his window and yells, "Back of the line, butthole." Also t-shirt worthy.
I think we just got 3 new T-shirts out of this
I think we've
podcast.
really this really has been a good therapy session for us.
Yeah,
I would say my other one. Someone asked me the other day, like, "What was the advice your parents gave you when you went off to college?" And I thought, "Oh gosh, I don't really know." But I do remember Dad giving me the advice of don't mix your alcohols.
also very important,
Also, very important functional tip
very functional.
too. Very
Most
functional.
people have to
So
learn that on their own.
that's true. And let's be honest, I probably learned it on my own the hard way, but I just had the advice to know I knew better.
He tried to warn you, so
Well, Dad, if you're listening and we have not embarrassed you enough already, Mom's probably laughing at you right now in the car.
hmm.
We love you. Happy Father's Day to our dad, and happy Father's Day to dog dad Scott. We hope that
Hopefully
you all
Miley gets me
enjoy.
something nice.
I'm sure she will. She'll give you one of her 3 teeth that's left.
We can only hope.
Make it into a necklace.
I tried doing that already once. It didn't work.
Oh, gross. Well, we hope that you listening, that you get to enjoy your dad, your father figure. If you are no longer, your dad's no longer on earth with us, you know what? I hope that you enjoy their memory and happy thoughts and happy celebrations in their honor. Thank you, dads. Thank you, parents. You're what keeps us here. So we'll see you next week, Scott.
Thank you, dads.
Thanks.